Yeah.
question for you too. A question for you too. I'm looking at our comment section, and people brought up the fact that Jadyen Davis, who is a five-star kid quarterback,
Hmm.
um, will be at the game Saturday night. And just I'm trying to remove my Michigan bias, which I think I'm pretty good at doing. Sometimes I think too much for some of my fellow fans liking. But if you're a five-star kid and you watch Michigan play, seriously, a quarterback, what's the appeal schematically? Because I feel like this. I'm just being honest, and of course I want to wow Jadyen Davis. I want him to commit on the spot. But I'm thinking if I was a quarterback and I go to a Michigan football game, and I'm like, of course, everything else, right? The campus, the program tradition, the winged helmet, the stadium, amazing facilities, top tier, everything you can want, right? But schematically, what's really the appeal? Like, I am curious.
So my response to that would be winning. Number one, I
Okay,
think that is always something that factors
schematically,
in.
Desmond. Schematically,
Yeah, but recruiting's not a decision made just on who has the best schematics, because otherwise, Mike Leach would get every top, number one quarterback because he runs the air raid. They throw it all the
right,
time.
right.
So yeah, schematically, I mean, I don't. JJ's leading the country in completion percentage. I think
True,
that's
true,
pretty good.
true.
And also too, I would imagine that number one, like I said, winning, playing in big games, because that's essentially what winning leads to, is playing in big games, and just having the eyeballs on your performance. And then also too, I mean, you're going to be at the big house for Michigan State. I mean, that crowd's probably going to be the loudest it's going to be all season on Saturday. So
Mhm.
I mean, schematically, yeah, I mean, are there's other offenses you could definitely go to throw it more. But I mean, also too, that leads potentially to mistakes. I look at a guy like Spencer Rattler, who ended up getting benched at Oklahoma and transferred out, right? Like that, that comes into play as well. Is, well, the more I throw it, the more opportunity I have to make a mistake, and even a tip ball, something that wasn't really my fault, that still goes on your stat sheet as an interception. And too many of those, you end up sitting on the bench wearing a baseball cap. So that would be my answer. Mark, what about you?
Great. I think you bring up an interesting next level question here, because beyond that, think about this. JJ McCarthy is the most important player on this team, just like almost every other team in America, because he's the quarterback first and foremost. But beyond his tenure career at Michigan, he may be the most important player, because he is going to be the first example and the first opportunity that Jim Harbaugh has to recruit and sign a quarterback, have him be a superstar coming to the program, develop him, get him to the next level, and hopefully be a high draft pick and a success at the next level as a quarterback. And that could be a great selling point going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and thank you guys. I love some of the comments and really good, thought on answers from our streamers. And I agree with you, Mark. There, I think JJ can be a tremendous case study and an example potentially for future recruits, especially if it goes well. And it's been it's taken us a while to get here. It's taken us a few years. We've had other high level recruiting guys, Dylan McCaffrey's of the world, Joe Milton, what's Brandon Peters. We had some of those kids come in
John
here.
O'Corn.
John
Don't forget about
O'Corn.
him.
We've had a couple of kids come in here who were highly recruited or at least respected. Shea Patterson, my gosh, and none of them have really kind of panned out or reached their potential at the collegiate level, let alone get to the NFL. But if JJ's able to be that first one, that would be like a really good selling point. And I wanted to kind of hit on some things I saw some people say that I thought was really good, a really good answer. Like Victor Rodriguez said, when Michigan runs a pro level system that will prepare you for the NFL, not flashy but efficient. And I think that's a great answer. and because that is a selling point. And I wasn't critiquing, U of M. I was genuinely curious, like if I was a 5-star quarterback, and I know everything else Michigan's going to blow out the water because they're top tier and all that stuff. Biggest stadium in the country, probably I think in the world actually, top tier facilities, college football royalty in terms of tradition, right? The winged helmet, all that stuff, right? Charles Woodson, the history, everything, right? But from a schematic standpoint, I'm like, man, can I be successful here with my position in particular? And when you do look at it that way, in terms of preparation for success, that's a good way to look at it. That you're going to learn how to be a well-rounded quarterback as opposed to just a statistic flashy quarterback, if you will. I think that's a really good way of looking at it, and I think that's kind of the synopsis that a lot of people have said.
Yeah, and I think if JJ has a similar year, like, let's say the year kind of plays out similar as far as his stats go, and then he has a repeat of this next year, I think he's going to be in line to be the number one pick of the, what would that be, 2024 draft? So yeah, I mean I
Shea
absolutely
Patterson
think
was the
that.
number one pick. Shea Patterson was a number one pick
That is very true. To
of
the
the
Michigan
USFL.
Panthers. And he actually got traded or something,
He
released,
got cut.
benched,
That's it.
and
He didn't
everything.
even
Yeah, it
last
was
the
not
full
good.
season. A little too much golf. A little too much golf.
Pro football in Michigan is just not good.
Oh gosh, I think it's no, but overall, it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's one of those games where you're going to have alumni there. You're going to have clearly big time recruits who are going to be visiting your campus, and it is a nationally televised game, and it's a chance for once again Michigan to show who they are and continue to put up a really impressive performance and solidify themselves as there's a clear distinction between us and the other tiers in college football, right? And that's what I expect. I just think that MSU tends to have just be a weird pain in the butt sometimes, and sometimes,
Yeah.
and they should, but it's just that sometimes on paper these games don't always go the way that you would think they will go.